right, so once all of the boards are laid out, as you can see, I have the whole room laid out here. Trying to get a little lighting. Going through the hallway, going into the other bedroom upstairs. Got it all totally laid out. This is the time when you can either apply a finish if you're going for like a natural wood look, or to do the clear coat or whatever. And also something I think I forgot to mention is when I put these boards down, I did basically what I'd call the easy ones. So if you remember, I didn't have, that one right there was missing, but I started with these 2 rows and I built out. And what I did was I left out the edge ones, because if you can see, this board right here is 8 inches, and this one over here I had to cut a little short to fit the wall. So it's something to keep in mind. Also kind of like the ones here by the door, you can see it's kind of cut. And then in the closet and all that kind of stuff. I just left all them to the very end. And then the other thing I wanted to mention was that the air gun I was using was a 16 gauge air nailer. It's like a finish nailer. And I was using 1.5 inch nails. And that's because my subfloor is a 3/4 inch plywood, and which is like the, the raw plywood that was underneath, whatever, if you put carpet down or whatever, the basic floor of the house, that's the subfloor. It's 3/4 inch, and then these planks I put down are 1/2 inch. When you add that together, it's only 1.25 inches. And usually if you're nailing straight down, you just, you want your nails to be that same length, but since I was shooting at an angle, I decided to go that extra 1/4 inch, and I went with 1.5 inch nails. So if you happen to use, 1/2 inch boards, 1.5 inch would work great. 2 inches is probably a little too long, and 1.25 inches might work. 1 inch is definitely too short, but 1.5 inches seems to be pretty good and work great. So the other thing you'll notice is that I have a lot more whitewash on the floors now. And like I said, after you get it all installed, this is the time to decide if you like your finish or not. If you're gonna go with just, the straight up plywood and you're gonna clear coat it, then fine, you can just start doing that now. But if you're gonna stain them, now's the time to stain them. What I did last night is, and I don't know if I can pop a picture in here or not, but after it was all installed, my like 2.5 to 1 whitewash was way too light. It's not what we wanted at all. And basically it just, once it was all down, it just looked like plywood strips. You couldn't even tell that that they were whitewashed at all. So what I did last night is I did about a 1.5 to 1 ratio, and I just went over everything one more time real quick with a roller. And I'm going for kind of a distressed, beachy, I mean, it's a barn, so kind of a barn house farm look. So it's supposed to be, not matching. It's, kind of sporadic, slightly crappy, but that's kind of the look. Like you can see here, it's kind of spattered looking and all that kind of stuff. And that's exactly what we wanted. So I went over it last night, and it did not take very long at all. And if you want to do this technique that I did, you can see like this board and that board are a lot wider than like, they're a lot more washed out than, these boards here and that board and that board. What I did was I took a little 6-inch roller and I whitewashed those 2 boards first. And I just went through and I sporadically did some. You can see the ones that are a lot more wider, like that one over there and that one and that one. I did all those. I went through the entire house. Then when I was done, I just went ahead and grabbed a regular, roller like you use to paint the walls and all that kind of stuff. And I just went over the whole thing again with the exact same wash. I didn't change it or nothing. And what it did was all the boards that were pretty much natural wood looking got whitewashed exactly where we wanted it, and then the ones that were white got even more whiter. And that's the look we're going for, okay? Then what I just did right before this video is I went through and I just swept the whole floor again to get rid of all the debris. And you want to do this before you clear coat. You want to do it before you stain, or after your stain is dried, kind of like here, we whitewashed, which is kind of a stain. And once it's done, because I'm moving on to the clear coat, which is over here. So I want to make sure that, it's not going to be a bunch of crud in the finish and all that kind of stuff. And, it gives a good look. So if you like my broom there, it broke. So we taped a painter stick to it. That was a piece of crap. Got that painter stick for 99 cents, the wood one there. And it was a free rebate basically at Menards, and when I bought it was 99 cents, and then rebate they give you 99 cents. And I bought 2 of these and they both broke within 5 minutes. So I would not, you kind of get what you pay for. So go ahead, if you're going to be painting and all that kind of stuff, get a good stick to add your roller to, not these little crappy dollar ones. They broke quick, but works great for holding this broom together. It snapped in half. So Okay, so what I wanted to show you real quick was the finish that we're using. And the brand doesn't really matter too much, but what I wanted to point out is that we're using a satin because we don't want it too glossy. If you want glossy, that's fine. If you want semi-gloss, whatever. We're just going for basically kind of, not really a flat look, but it kind of has like a sheen to it, or a little bit of a glare. And another thing I want to point out is that this is actually a floor finish. It's not just regular clear coat that you get to, like, you know, do a table or whatever. This is, like it says, high traffic formula. You're gonna be walking on a lot, so it's a lot more durable. The other thing is that this is a polyurethane. This is oil-based. And that's something you wanna keep in mind also. Oil-based usually is a little stronger than water-based, but the thing is, as you can see here, it's got a deep, rich color. And then I stirred it with a stick, and I think you can see how much darker and richer it made the wood. Like right there is a whitewash, and then over there is with the poly on it. So if you use an oil-based, it will darken your floors up. It doesn't matter if you're using a stain, if it's whitewashed, if it's raw. If you put oil-based on there, it's gonna darken up. If you use water-based, it's just gonna basically make the floors kind of look wet. They will get darker, like this spot right here. You know, it's kind of wood looking, and if you want it that light, you're probably gonna have to kind of wash it out a little bit with whitewash before you put your stain on there, because all these floors are gonna darken up. But the water-based floor stain basically just looks like if you doused this wood in water. So it will darken up, but it won't turn amber. That's what the oil-based stuff does. It will turn amber. That's why it gets a little darker. So that's something to keep in mind. Another thing is that here's the applicator, and I put it on a, so here's the paint stick that it's still kind of a cheap one, but it worked great compared to that crappy wood one there. But anyway, one thing to keep in mind is that the applicator you want to use is designed for oil-based. Like this one right here is oil-based because we're using oil-based. If you're going to use water-based, you want to get one of these in water-based. And at the store, the water-based ones were blue. This one happens to be yellow. And since I'm going to put 3 coats down, I bought 3 of these. Now the wood block applicator doesn't change. It's just the actual little fuzzy thing that will change out. And I bought 2 extras because I'm going to do 3 coats. And I don't want to go through and try to wash it and make it look good. It's easier just to throw it away. They're only like $3. So that's what I'm going to do now. And I'll apply it and I'll show you how that works. All right, so then when you're applying it, you just want to get your applicator, make sure it's good and saturated, and wipe off the excess. And then I'm just doing 1 row at a time, like one strip of board. And you notice, see how dark it really got here? And don't freak out, you know, if you're going for the whitewash look and it gets dark like this and just looks like wet plywood, because when it dries, it will lighten up a little bit. But as you can see, of course I'm doing it with one hand, so it's not quite as good as I should be doing, but just doing 1 row at a time, making sure to get all the edges really good. Just going over it, and that'll be my first coat. And then once this dries, I'm gonna let it dry for a whole day. So this time tomorrow, I'll come back and I'll put a second coat. And then I don't know if I'll wait another day or if I'll wait maybe half a day, but I'll put a 3rd coat, and after that we'll be done. So it goes on pretty easy. Basically it's like mopping the floor, except you want to do it, you know, in a really careful fashion and just take your time. Make sure you do it right and there's not a bunch of big blobs or that you miss any spots or anything like that. But it goes on pretty easy and it should look pretty awesome when it's done. So let me show you after I get the other 2 coats on. I'll show you what it looks like.